why are Wells Fargo and Citigroup falling today? And I don't really care to get into the details. I just want to then show you this story. This is from Seeking Alpha. Wells Fargo, no crisis here. Well, okay. So you get to decide for yourselves whether or not you think the end is nigh. Because I'll put it this way. Right before the show starts, we get breaking news. Another bank is in serious trouble. And you're going to hear from the Jim Cramers and from the Bidens. They're all going to say, everything is fine. Your deposits are safe. Don't worry about it. Maybe. But I don't know how much I trust these guys. And that's the problem. Because I feel like when they come out and say, don't worry, everything's fine, they're actually having the inverse impact they think they are. Everyone's going to hear that and be like, run for the hills. Get your money out of the banks.
People don't like hearing banks being like, it's all fine. They'll pay attention. The little man behind the curtain.
This is the four of America's biggest banks lost a combined $55 billion in value on Thursday. That's today. Yeah.
No, that's today's Wednesday.
Last week?
Last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
This is last week. Jeez. Well, I don't trust anyone to live your life for you. That's some advice. Take care of yourself and use your brain.
Yeah, I imagine this is like you were talking about it the other day, Tim. I imagine this is not the end of the problems that we've got that's coming. I think that the bank failures here are I think that it's probably gonna lead to more stress in the system. I'm not predicting it, a crash, because I have no way of predicting the future at all, and I'm not an economics guy. But it's not a bad idea to get yourself squared away, so that way you have, some necessities if you're able.
The scary thing
now
is
is
that
the time.
The scariest thing is that people who want the system to fail will intentionally go out and take all of their money out of the banks. I mean, could you imagine people who are upset with the status quo and, say, the two-party system and establishment politics intentionally taking all their money out of banks because they want those banks to fail, which would cause the system to collapse? And who could imagine doing something like that?
So this is what Vivek Ramaswamy said. He's a very smart guy. He's running for president. He was on the show 2 days ago. And he's like, no. These hedge fund guys wanted to get their money, and they wanted to bail out. And they didn't like their money being locked up in a 2% bond. And so they actually staged a run on the bank.
Yep.
He's like, this is the untold story, that these guys are so greedy that they needed the extra couple points. They were locked up in a 10-year treasury. They needed that out. And the easiest way to get that out was to collapse the bank. That's how evil these people are. So these hedge fund guys, these bros got together, finance bros got together and like, how do we stage a run on the bank? Why don't you tweet about it and I'll tweet about it? Maybe we can get like, Tyson to take his money out. And then we'll start the run on the bank. And then the federal government will have no choice because they're already on fragile ground. The ice is breaking beneath all of us. And so they'll come in and they'll insure us all and we'll just get our money. We'll just be able to do one little deposit, ping, and get our money back.
And the government will literally trip over itself to print the money because of the situation we're in, where the rest of the economy is so delicate. And they're trying, raising the interest rates and stuff. The rest of the economy is dying to go into recession, just begging for an excuse to go into recession. And they're just like, F them. F the country.
Let me just drop something right here that I have. This is verified. This is true. There's huge finance for China, okay, in Silicon Valley Bank. The bio research for China, Silicon Valley Bank funded it to the tune of billions, right? Ton of Chinese companies use Silicon Valley Bank as a really nice bridge, right, between the two nations. What about China using fifth generation warfare without firing a shot can collapse our financial system just by yanking out all their money?
Dang.
What if the Chinese just said, okay, now all the money comes to us. So crash the banks just by withdrawing.
Maybe that's why I haven't pulled my money out.
Easiest thing you've ever done. You can collapse a nation just by going ka-ching.
You know, when I heard about this first bank collapse last week, I guess it was. This is the Silicon Valley Bank. I had this feeling like, get your money out, this wave of feeling without even words or anything. It was just like, get it out. And then it passed over me and I was like, no. If it disappears, it disappears. And that's because I feel like someone is gaming this. It does feel like that. It feels like this was an intentional. It's not real panic.
That's a little more passive than the average person is probably prepared to be with their life savings.
Maybe they want you to pull the money out to collapse the system so they can then introduce a command economy and central bank digital currency.
That is completely and totally reasonable in my opinion.